Hello, my name is Dan Johnston and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing my prediction video for the next episode of Doctor Who, which is Village of the Angels. And as for last week, I knew that we'd get a lot of more information and a lot more background on things like Swarm, and we did. So I suppose I'll start with that first. I did wonder slightly in my first watch whether they actually did a little bit more, whether there was something else that happened after that flashback, I suppose, that meant that they were given such hard sentences, because she said it as an idea that if you do any more you'll get worse, but then they do go and kill 2 passengers. So that might have been it. My point here is that they know an awful lot of dirty secrets about Time Lords, and I think that would be interesting for him to mention to the Doctor at some point. But I'm thinking maybe Omega could be another dirty secret that he might spill, as well as the origins of the Weeping Angels, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. And as I'm talking about villains, I'd like to briefly mention the Great Serpent. Craig Parkinson has said that we haven't seen the last of him just yet, so I wonder where he's going to appear, because to me there's a lot of stuff within this episode that I think is more setting up for the specials next year and not necessarily within Flux. I think it's a bit of a shame, because if you're doing a serialized series, I think it's important for those things to wrap up and for it to almost be contained to those plot threads. So I think it will be a bit of a shame if we leave Flux with a lot of unanswered questions going into the New Year's special and beyond. But coming back to the Great Serpent, he's a kind of sleazy politician, so I thought maybe he could be a Time Lord politician, because there's a lot of Time Lord politics going on there, but I'm pretty sure that Vinder is not a Time Lord. So I'm not really quite sure where he's going there, and I'd like to see more. Some people have said he might be Swarm, but I'm not thinking that that's really the case neither, because he's got a serpent on his jacket, not a crystal or anything like that. It just feels like it's too big of a leap. I briefly mentioned Vinder there, and so let's talk about Bel and Vinder. The big headline, I suppose, or the big rumour, is that Bel and Vinder are the Doctor's parents, and her baby monitor thing, her little tablet thing, that does sound a little bit like a Sonic, to be honest. But I think it just might be a down-pitched sound effect of, to reuse it. That baby monitor is actually monitoring the Doctor as a child, and they are her biological parents. Oh, I hate this so much. I feel like it's lazy, and I really hope Chibnall doesn't do it. I'm kind of getting sidetracked here, but I hope he doesn't do the whole theory that Swarm is also the Doctor's dad or any of that, because I feel that's far too soap opera. Like, that's far too ridiculous for something that is supposed to be taken seriously. I mean, I think that it's almost like at school when you're told that, having a story end with "it was all a dream" is a silly way to end a story, because it ruins any impact that the story had. In the same way that just going, "oh, it's the Doctor's dad," is not clever storytelling. It's just kind of whipping a plot twist out your arse. They're definitely not Time Lords, but they could very well be the race of from where the Doctor comes from. Yet I'm not entirely sure whether I like the idea, because it would mean that the Doctor has lived many years when they were a child back, all the way down, God knows when, and they've come all the way to this point, and then that's when they were actually born. So they were born here, because this is set during, modern time. The Flux is happening while she's still pregnant, so that would mean that she was born in 2021, if not 2022. So then she'd have to go back there somehow, and it just feels like way too complicated. But then again, Chibnall really like complicated things, so we'll have to see. And it wouldn't be a prediction video if I didn't talk about the 1800s section again. We were teased once again with it, and I'm just so unsure of it each week. I think I become more confused about it. This week we have been introduced to the little bits of time, I forget their names, but there's little blue sparks that look a little bit like the Ravagers from the first Doctor's, for the Ninth Doctor's audios, but they're not. they are something to do with time, and I suppose it breaking down, and the damage is already done from it, and maybe that's why he built the tunnels in order to do something with them. But I don't think that's the case, because he says when he's with Dan that he was shooting at something, but he wasn't shooting at them, he was shooting at something else. So we still don't know what he was firing at. I think that Chibnall's pointing towards some kind of civil war between three species, the Cybermen, the Daleks, and the Sontarans. I don't know whether this will actually happen, but I don't think it's a coincidence that they've taken over the entire world. And if he wastes the opportunity to have them fight each other or just be enemies together, as they inhabit Earth, I think that would be a complete waste of time setting up if they've done that. But maybe Chibnall's doing it just to kind of give some scope to the dead world. I'm also pretty sure that this kind of thing is irreparable, and I think that we will have a reset of some sorts, in the same way that the Arrowverse reset time and made that whole Earth Prime thing last year. I think that the Doctor Who universe will do the same. It will have some kind of reset where time will be brought back to how it was before the Flux. I think that's the only way you can really handle this kind of end of days plotline. And speaking of end of days, we have a new character that might be a little bit eluding for the next next year. For me, I don't know who she is at all. I've written her as some kind of operator, maybe some kind of god, I suppose, who's planting and has these huge plans for what the rest of the universe will be, and she dictates what is right and what is wrong and all that kind of stuff. So maybe she could be some kind of unearthly power, like an Eternal or something like that. Some people, I've seen a few things say about like a white guardian kind of character. Something like that I think would make a lot of sense. But it reminds me a lot of the End of Time when they're talking about a prophecy that cannot be changed and all that kind of stuff. I am interested though, because she's really eluding me. So who do you think she is? As for Claire, I think that she might be the missing girl that they are all looking for. I think it would make a lot of sense for a girl who is, let's say, 10 at the time, to be teleported back and then to live out her life so that she's eventually caught up to the time where she's, she only went back 20 years. So if she only went back about 20 years, then it would mean that she would be an adult by the time the event actually happens. I think that could be an interesting plot, trying to prevent something that might be too late for her, but could save her entire village. But it obviously wouldn't explain why she knows what's going to happen, that the village is going to disappear. So maybe she's sent back and forth, or maybe because the Weeping Angels seem to have some kind of connection to time. I don't know what they were doing during last week's episode, but they were appearing in time streams and all that kind of stuff. Maybe they've got even a link to Yaz in some way. I wonder whether they have some kind of time travel ability where they're feeding on it as they do, and that's why she keeps getting sent back in time and then sent forward, and because of the flux, I guess, which seems to be a pretty default response to everything. What if that caused her to travel back and forth into present day and all that kind of stuff, so that she appears multiple times, but not always in the order that we see her, a kind of river song. And so my final thing, I mentioned earlier about dirty secrets of the Time Lords, and I wonder whether Chibnall bringing back the Weeping Angels was to eventually establish something that I've believed for quite a long time. The idea that the Weeping Angels are the Time Lords, and that they have evolved or devolved, or that they are like a rogue group or something like that, maybe a punishment platoon or something of Time Lords that ended up as Weeping Angels and are kind of haunted by the idea that they can't move when someone's looking at them, as a kind of prison. And I think that would be cool. And it really wouldn't surprise me if Chibnall was digging around in the past of Time Lords. he might as well confirm the case that the Time Lords are actually weeping angels. I would think that that would be a really cool thing for him to do. I wonder whether Stephen Moffat would be particularly happy with it, but I would be interested to see whether that would happen, and I do hope it does, because it feels like something that we've all kind of presumed, but it'd be nice to have it fully confirmed. And so, thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you did enjoy this video. If you did, make sure you give a like. Let me know your theories for next week and beyond, and I shall see you soon. Goodbye.